I tend not to look into a lot of Goodreads reviews just because I don't find them particularly helpful in picking out books. It seems you get either like one half or the other, which is they either love the book so much or they hate it to oblivion. You're better off just getting like recommendations from friends or family or something. That being said, I am guilty of looking through them just because I find them kind of enjoying to read, especially when people write an entire essay about one single book, about one problem they had with it. Regardless, I have a lot of, books that I very much enjoy, the books I've given 5 stars. And I thought to myself, what if I look and see the 1-star reviews on some of these books? No, I don't want to do this necessarily to just be like, oh, these people are all wrong, they're dumb, whatever. All of these books I've given 5 stars are just personal opinions of mine. I don't think they're the most well-written books of all time. I just think I really enjoyed them. They impacted me in a way that I haven't forgotten. So I've gathered up some reviews of some of these books that I very much enjoy, and we're gonna read them. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, some of these are just plain ridiculous, but some actually do bring up some valuable points, I think. This first one I have is arguably like my favorite book of all time. I'm not sure yet. Definitely top 3 is Perks of Being a Wallflower. All you really need to know is this is like a coming-of-age novel, and I think it's probably the best one I've ever read. So for sure there's going to be a lot of opinionated people about this, so let's get into the first one. Clueless. I am clueless. The popularity of this book baffles me even more than the popularity of The Fault in Our Stars. This person's going to hate my video right off the bat. Maybe I really am just a cold-hearted person with no feelings. That's up for debate, but let's see. It's like I'm missing something. I must be right, because to me this seems like nothing more than the usual melodramatic issue book. I didn't feel sad or moved or anything, so like I said, maybe this is a character flaw on my part, but I'm tired of reading books where I can feel the author's little voice screaming between my lines. Cry? I felt nothing except maybe manipulated. Yeah, I definitely felt manipulated. So this one's actually pretty interesting because this person does bring up a valuable point that I do see in books, which is basically bum rushing you with a bunch of just horrible mental illness, whatever stuff it can, to make a book deeper. Now, I feel like this person's kind of doing unfairly because they're just being like, here's every single thing that it names in the book. That's annoying. And I'm like, so do you want me to add deep meanings and deep themes in a book, or do you not want me to? Because I don't think immediately that if every book mentions one of these themes on here, it's immediately going to be bad, or it's wanting you to cry and it's just manipulating you. I think if a book does a good job at representing these things, then it's doing a good job. And I feel like this person isn't really giving a good reason of why these things are not impacting them. They're just kind of being like, oh, the author mentioned these themes, and suddenly like, that's bad. Okay, I pulled this one up for a good example, which is like people writing reviews years later. So this is a review from 2021, but this person read the book in 2015. And they start off like this. If you ask me if I remember something from this book, my answer would be nope. Like, why did you write a review? Like, clearly there's been some time between you reading this and putting a review in. So you decided, since you don't remember anything and you vaguely remember it not being great, you're going to downvote it, immediately put it 1 star. Seems a little ridiculous, but like, all power to you, I guess. I am clearly in the minority with my opinion of this book, so I'll keep my review short and sweet. I felt it was a waste of a clever title for such a lame storyline. The main character, Charlie, in my opinion, is an unrealistic protagonist who really can't be categorized as a wallflower in the truest sense of the word. I don't think Charlie is socially awkward. He's simply clueless and unlikable. Okay, 2 thoughts about this review. Here's another part of reviews, which is people who don't finish the book and then leave like a full review about it. Because one, I don't know how much you did read. Did you read 20% of it, 30%? Did you read 10 pages for all I know? And you're deciding suddenly it's a 1 star? Like, that feels pretty unfair to the author, but okay. 2, I actually kind of agree with this person's point, which is like, Charlie isn't the truest form of a wallflower. He's very good at observing things, but he's not good at connecting things. So I understand this person's complaint, but to give a book 1 star seems kind of crazy for that one reason. The next book I have here is Art of Racing in the Rain by Gerstein. This is a book I read this year and absolutely loved it. I thought it was an amazing book. Very much just like a typical kind of like family fiction, but from the perspective of a dog named Enzo, which kind of gives it this really unique twist on things. It was one of the few books who actually ended up making me emotional during it, and especially near the end, which is like a rare thing. And if you can accomplish that in me, then yeah, I'm going to give you a high rating. Let's see what some of these people said though. I didn't really want to read this. I didn't think I would like it. It just didn't seem like my type of book. Why'd you read it then? What? After reading it, I must say how well I know my own taste. I'm tempted to write a lengthy review detailing everything I just thought was terrible. Okay, this review is less about like what they actually thought of the book and the fact that this person decided to read this book despite knowing themselves so well that they weren't going to like it. Why did you pick up the book then, brother? I just like I don't get people sometimes. You know, I think this is probably relatable. I just like, you read this and you go, okay. This next review I think is kind of funny because I think this person's forgetting this is a fiction book. First of all, when you are a writer and you choose to narrate your tale through the eyes and ears of man's best friend, you need to adhere to your own limitations. If your story involves any kind of tromping through courthouses, police stations, hospitals, you cannot go there, nor can you give your canine narrator ESP or amazing powers of deductive reasoning. God forbid an author has his own creative take on the perspective he's choosing for his book. Excuse me, dogs are not allowed in police stations. What are you talking about, brother? It's like this person wanted the book to be more boring. Like, I expect him to act like a dog. Like, when you give him very human thoughts, it's very jarring. Unbelievable. Okay, next one. A world translated into what Enzo believed should be based on his experiences. Instead, there is supposed to be a dog who knows way too much about racing and can spout philosophy. And the best part, TV taught him everything. Okay, so this is obviously like a similar complaint to the last one. I don't know why people have such a problem with the, I guess, intellect of Enzo. Like, yes, the author took some creative liberty and made Enzo, you know, a little more human so that, I don't know, maybe the reader could enjoy the book. I'm just like, I'm kind of bewildered here because I'm wondering what these people wanted from this book. And like I said, remember, these are 1-star reviews. Like, you are saying you hated this book. That's what a 1-star is. And your biggest complaint is that the dog is too human and his thoughts are too human? Completely unrealistic. The next book I have up is The Hunger Games. Right off the bat, this is not the most well-written book. I know that for a fact. There are some issues with it. It is the fact that I am nostalgic towards it. It is what got me into reading, and I genuinely think it is a very unique idea, especially at the time it was created. So it wouldn't actually surprise me if some of these reviews have valid points about the book. And I'm willing to like accept some of these points. So if they have some, you know, some criticism that I think is, you know, realistic, then great. Okay, this isn't looking good because the first one is literally just titled Far Too Unrealistic, which, guys, who knew a dystopian can be, I don't know, a little unrealistic? That's crazy. I find it impossible to accept this world. It wasn't because it was a nasty place, but because it wasn't believable. The Capitol puts on these Hunger Games and sacrifices countless children in the process. I mean, what? Why would the Capitol do this? If I was in charge of the Capitol, I would have developed a much more effective system. I'd have fixed the game so the leaders of each district were sacrificed each year. What? This person clearly wanted to write the book themselves. So this person gave a 1-star because they were like, the Capitol's killing these children unnecessarily. They should be killing like martyrs so that people lose hope. Though I suppose a martyr is what gives people hope because they die for the cause. I just don't feel like this is a good point to downgrade a book for. You know how many books I can, you know, write about and be like, they should have done it like this. It would have been more realistic. Like, almost every book has a level of like, yeah, you probably could have done this differently and it would have made more sense. But part of what makes a book good is the imagination of the author to make something unique that connects with the audience. Yes, would this maybe be a better way to run the Capitol? Sure. But there's probably a million better ways to run the Capitol than how they do in the book. But the reason why they are essentially sacrificing children in this book is why it is so groundbreaking. It's supposed to create that, you know, empathetic thing for the reader, for Katniss, for Peeta, for all the main characters, where you understand their situation and you go, this is horrible. Okay, this one's great. I find the premise of children killing children to be horrendous. The fact that this book was so popular among children is equally horrendous. Why are you reading it then? This is one of those people who like just ban any book that they just don't agree with some theme, or if they find some topic they don't want to talk about ever. I don't know what else to say to this other than like, sorry, pal. Like, I just don't agree with you. I, one, don't understand why you read this in the first place. And two, I don't know why your opinion is somehow like all adhering. Everyone needs to just do what you think. And the fact that this book was written is just, it's just horrible. People like this are frankly ridiculous in my opinion. But once again, you're all allowed to have your own opinion. So, okay, this one gets right to the point and I kind of respect it for it. I am now stupider from reading this. I find this hard to believe, but I also, respect you being able to understand your own intelligence in such ways. Realistically, though, I don't know if I've ever become like stupider from reading something, bad. I've definitely come across things that are like written so poorly, it makes me feel dumb reading it, but not like stupider, but I'm pretty sure this person means it from more of like an insulting way rather than they're actually stupider. Perhaps I'm looking into this too much. This has been a big book recently, mainly because the movie's coming out. Project Hail Mary, if you've read it. It's a great book. I read it this year, actually, before the movie trailer, so I'm kind of cool. I really enjoyed it, though. So let's see what some of these people are saying. Andy Weir cannot write, and I'm tired of people pretending he can. First, let's talk about characters. Well, there are no characters. I only see a vague man-shaped science textbook in an astronaut suit. Oh, I know him. It's Mark Watney. Immediately, I actually agree with this person. Like, this is like the main character of Project Hail Mary is Mark Watney. A good way to compare this is like John Green books, where a lot of people who complain about John Green books tend to say that he writes a lot of characters that are very similar in all his books. But I don't think this is like, oh, this is immediately bad because of it. I think Andy Weir hit a bit of a gold mine with, Mark Watney. And I think having that character in Project Hail Mary does not mean it's bad or suddenly uncreative. I think he's a likable personality. I think he brings something to the story where I don't have to be just despairing. Like, no, he has funny quips that he says. And that's honestly some of the highlights of the book. Also, some of the highlights of The Martian as well. And this is coming from someone who didn't really even enjoy The Martian. But if I had to pick something that was my favorite, it would be Mark Watney. I was going to give it a higher rating, but Jesus Christ, what an awful ending. Absolutely insulting to the time put in to read it. This one just feels like very just opinion, if that makes sense. Like, there's not a really great way to objectively look at this because I was actually quite fond of the ending. I thought it was really sweet. I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to give spoilers for any of these books, but I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was a great conclusion and I felt satisfied. But I also respect if this person didn't really enjoy it because I could see other perspectives of it that, maybe it's not as satisfying. So right now, Project Hail Mary has some kind of genuine reviews. DNF at 33%. I don't even know if I want to read the rest of this because it's like 33%. A lot of people have opinions on whether or not you should be like marking a book read or give a review like this and give it stars if you haven't finished it. Generally, I say if you've read most of a book, usually like 70% or more and it's garbage, then I feel like you can give a review on it. 33% is wacky though. Like the fact that you didn't even get through half of this book and you felt like you are in a position to give a full review on it feels kind of lame. So thank you for, losing my faith in the Project Hail Mary reviews. But those first two were pretty great. Well, not great because I don't agree with them, but understandable. I don't expect everyone to know this book. It's kind of a weird one, but I wanted to include it because of what it is. It's called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. It's a bit of a gift book where it's very short, but it has a lot of these kind of like, sweet, profound sayings in it with a lot of this like creative art from the author. I'll put some up so you can see it for reference. I read this with my girlfriend and I really thought it was a swell time. Do I think these were the most profound things you can ever say or like the art was the most amazing I've seen? No, but combined together, I had a really nice experience with this. I feel like this is a book all ages could enjoy, which is why I appreciate it so much. It's why I gave it a higher rating. I believe you have to rate things based on what it's trying to give you. If it said, I'm the most, philosophical, insightful, introspective book in the world, then yeah, I'd probably lower the rating, but that's not what it's saying. Because I can't even think of a negative thing you can say about this. Like, I feel like you have to be quite the pessimist to say something at least along the lines of a 1-star with this. So by about 3 pages in, I wanted to throw this book in the toilet, but it came from the library, so I didn't. In the introduction, the author says, I'd like to be a book that you can dip in anywhere, anytime, start in the middle if you like. So I tried it and I opened to the middle and read this. This sucks because I actually really like this part of the book. I've discovered something better than cake. No, you haven't, said the boy. I have, replied the mole. What is it? A hug. It lasts longer. I rest my case. Yes, is that a little cheesy? Sure. But paired with these like really nice drawings, like that's just, it's nice. It's sweet. You know what I mean? Like you wanted to put this in the toilet because you read that? Honestly, I think this person needs a hug. I think they just haven't got a love in a little bit. Okay, I couldn't include all 10 things this person says in the review, but just know that this person wrote 10 in-depth things about what they hated about this book. 1, no narrative thread. It's difficult to write a proper review on this novel / graphic novel / compendium / children's reference book because it has no narrative thread whatsoever. Yes, because there's not a narrative thread. I don't know why this person picked this up thinking they were going to be reading a novel. It's clearly not what it's marketed as, and if you just picked it up and opened to one page, you would see why that's true. So the fact that this guy's first point is there's no narrative thread clearly tells me you weren't prepared when you bought this book. Like the other person said, if you read the intro, you would have seen that they wanted you to be able to read this at any point, at any part of the book. So this person read that and then complained about how it wasn't a linear narrative. I actually half respect this next review. They just say, that was fast, man. And then they have like a little person standing there. I mean, granted, it was a fast read. I read it in like, less than 30 minutes. I'm confused about the 1 star though. So I don't know if they didn't enjoy it or if this was like a way to boost their Goodreads reads for the year. I don't know. Also, if you do that, I get why you're doing it. I get that you might be a little insecure. But that's okay, we all read different amounts of books a year. You don't need to inflate it anyways. Mainly, I just thought this was funny, so I added it. I found a lot more reviews than just these ones, but I thought these were kind of the funniest and had kind of the more interesting parts to talk about in terms of actual book content and how people review books nowadays. I actually had a pretty fun time looking for these. I never really got angry or upset about any of them. I just thought they were kind of funny, and I actually laughed out loud a couple times when I came across them. And this kind of all just goes back to my original point, which is just like, it's not great to take these reviews at face value because everyone's going to have different opinions. It's much better to go to someone you trust that you have similar interests to, and if they've read it, see what they thought. Or better yet, go into it blind, just pick up the book, like you have your whole life ahead of you, like you can risk reading 1 book. Anyways, thanks for sticking with me this whole time. I enjoyed that. That was fun. I hope you enjoy reading, keep having fun, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. Farewell.